This program is for informational and educational purposes only. This program is not a solicitation or recommendation for any investment or security. Investments or securities mentioned in this show may or may not be owned by NEPSIS Advisor Services. NEPSIS Advisor Services is an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Welcome to Journeys with Joni. My name is Joni Rametta, and I'm here today again with my co-host, Mark Clark.
What's happening, Joni? How are we doing today?
We're doing good today. How about you?
I'm having a good time.
It's been great, hasn't it?
It has been. Life's good. All kind of cool things happening in life. Having a lot of fun. You know, it's amazing we get paid to do this.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity in the office. The weather's been great. People are in a really positive frame of mind. I think, school out. Some people are out. Some people are almost out. It seems like it's a crazy schedule where you get some kids out before other kids get out. But, you can see summer starting to really start to take some planning and some people making some plans and doing the things just like we are.
Yeah, although a couple weeks ago I was in Boston and it froze to death, so I guess summer is here for us, but I don't know about our poor friends up north, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day.
I know. Well, I'm heading up that way. It's not too long from now, and I'm hoping that the cool weather's still there because I don't want to sweat. Well, join us as we travel this journey together. I'm excited about our program today. I think we're going to follow up on last time we were talking about, 2 times ago we were talking about the uses of money, and last time we were talking about taxes and how we can actually plan to keep the tax obligation down as much as we can by doing such things as in our investing, where we actually do tax loss harvesting. People can actually look at contributing to an IRA, maybe maxing out their 401ks if you're still working and you have that available to you. So, looking at some of the things that we do with our money, because money doesn't do anything. We make the choices about what money does.
Exactly. I feel compelled to just kind of share this. The design or the makeup of our company, we are a fee-based registered investment advisory firm. So we don't sell anything. And oftentimes people listen to the conversation that we have, they might assume we're trying to sell stuff, financial products. And we just don't do that. We provide advice. Joni and I are both certified financial planners. And we have a lot of fun making something out of, I don't want to say nothing, but putting a plan together out of what you have accumulated in your life. And oftentimes people don't realize what options are available to them. And I think that's one of the things we do very well is find several options. We were working on a case in the office over the last couple of days where that's exactly what we're doing. We're putting down options, creating options based on what rules are available. And a lot of it has to do with tax planning. Oh,
absolutely. And they're options. I mean, you can accept them or reject them. Some of them we like better than others. I mean, it's like anything else. If you don't know what your choices are, if you don't know that you can buy, go to the grocery store. Look at all the options you have for bread. Have you ever gone down that bread aisle?
Unfortunately, yes.
You got white bread, wheat bread, you got white wheat bread, you've got pumpernickel, rye bread, you've got rolls, you've got sliced, thin sliced, thick sliced. Oh my goodness. You can't just tell your kids, go buy a loaf of bread because, which one do I buy?
And the secondary question to that is, why are all those options available? It's because we're not all the same. We don't all like the same things.
That's exactly right.
But bread's bread. It goes on the sides of the sandwich that make the sandwich. But at the end of the day, it's about personal preference. And there's no difference in planning.
Exactly.
So as you kind of put your plan together, if all you have to plan with are the things you've had in the past, maybe it would be a great opportunity. I know we're going to probably talk in the next couple shows about more details about our planning and what we're doing in the emotional journey with this, but this is something that's really important. We talked about the 5 uses of money. Money's just a tool.
Right.
Bread's just a tool to create a sandwich.
Exactly.
It's not any different. So how do you take the things that you have and get the most out of them?
Absolutely.
That's a big question.
It is a big question. And I think some of the choices that we have, sometimes we only know about the options. I only knew about the kind of breads, if we're going to stay on the bread line, that your parents served you. My mom served it on, white bread, and maybe your mom served it on wheat bread. And, when you were a child, you didn't know that there was another option to have something other than what your mom was giving you.
Right.
And I think that in financial planning, sometimes we're influenced by, our parents, our grandparents, somebody else. and they've told us this is what we should do because that's what they did, but maybe that doesn't fit right for me. Maybe I don't like that taste. So if you don't know that you have an option to make a change, then you sit status quo and you don't make that change. But we like for people to come in and say, okay, this is what I have. This is what I've been told I should do. Are there other options?
And it's fun to unfold those.
If there's no other options, you keep going down the line that you're going down. But if you find out that, there's another option and I like it better, you have that choice.
I read one time, people perish for lack of knowledge, written in the good book. So get yourself informed, get educated. If people want to come sit down with us, we're going to talk about a couple things today, but how do they get a hold of us?
Well, you can get a hold of us. We're at www.journeyswithjoni.com. You can come stop by our office. We're located at 6230 University Parkway, Suite 305. That's on the third floor of the Home Bank building. They're at the corner, basically, of I-75 and University Parkway. And you can give us a call at 941-361-1484.
One of the things we talked about earlier today before we got to the studio, Joni, was we have our quarterly update.
Right.
And the quarterly update that we have does talk about investing, but this is a great piece. It's a great giveaway for people they can jump on journeyswithjoni.com, and on the bottom there are three boxes, and they can download that quarterly update. That is just packed full of information. It's free. There's no charge, and it's a great tool for you to just jump in and kind of take a look at what we have to offer and how we're managing money. So that's one of the things, and I know we're working on some workshops, but we're going to what are we talking today about? The influences. I know we talked about the 5 uses.
The influences that we had that make up our outlook on money and the uses of money.
I think that's going to be very interesting. I know we're up against a break, but there are some clear correlations. And again, I go back to the concept of you don't know what you don't know until you go find out. Then you realize, oh, wow. It's kind of like the bread. I can hear the person in the audience listening, like I can hear them listening. But there's somebody out there that's going, my mom was one of those ones that cut the crust off of the bread because I didn't want any of the tough stuff. Yet, at the end of the day, the crust is what allows the soft part of the bread to exist. And everything has a purpose and everything has a reason that it's there. So, as you look at your options, I think it's important to really come back to that.
Well, and I think, too, people need to understand that, you and I learn something new every day. I mean, we're working on different opportunities for different clients. And, sometimes, we're like, maybe there's something else we can do. And, we have resources as well that we turn to say, hey, here's my situation. I'm not sure that this solution that we have is the best one. Is it the best one? Because I sort of feel like there's something else out there. Maybe you read something. I mean, reading is a really good thing for all of us to be doing, because when you read stuff, not all of it applies, but sometimes it sort of takes you and you can sort of squirrel and go someplace else with what you're reading.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about all that good stuff plus the influences of money. So how do they get a hold of us again?
Give us a call at 941-361-1484 or www.journeyswithjoni.com. Journeys with Joni. We'll be right back.
Do you know what you own and why you own it? Join us for our next workshop to learn about investing with clarity by calling 941-361-1484 to reserve your seat today. Joni and Mark look forward to discussing the philosophy, strategy, flexibility, and transparency, the 4 pillars of investing, with NEPSIS Advisor Services. Call today, 941-361-1484. That's 941-361-1484.
Welcome back to Journeys with Joni. Just before the break, Mark and I were actually discussing bread, grocery shopping.
You're making me hungry.
Reading books. I know. It's almost lunchtime.
It is almost lunchtime.
Maybe that's why I went to the bread thing. I don't know, where that just sort of came out of left field there, didn't it? But we were talking about our previous shows where we were talking about the uses of money and how, money doesn't do anything until we put action behind it. So, what influences are there out there that influence our attitudes about money and how we use it? And I think there's 4. There's our family, the family legacy that we have, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your peers, people around you, your friends, your best friend, your neighbors. Then there's your mentors. Maybe it's a business person or, somebody at work that's not necessarily a peer, but, maybe a boss or something like that. And then there's scripture. So if you're biblically minded, there's lots of things in the Bible about the uses of money and what we're supposed to do with it. So there's those 4 influences that, tell us this is what I'm going to do with my money or how I look at money.
An interesting statistic, not that we want to start with scripture, but that's really where we start and finish everything. But there are over 2,200 scriptures in the Bible that talk about money. Mm-hmm. It's the number 2 talked about topic next to love. Love is the first one. Money is the second one. So if it's not important, why in the world is it mentioned in the Bible much?
But it's also mentioned. It's number 2 in the Bible.
Exactly.
Love is more important.
Absolutely.
So I think that tells us that our relationships are more important than money. Those kind of things are more important than money, but money does sit up there pretty high.
So that's a great segue back into the family, the peers, and the mentor. And I know we're going to talk about each one of these, but in my opinion, when I'm looking at these, I'm also measuring the influence of the family, the peers, and the mentor. What is their foundation? Are they biblically based? Are they completely off the wall, or are they giving me great advice that matches up with what, in my opinion, and for me and my family, what matches up with what the Bible says? Mm-hmm. So I think that's important.
It is important, but even if some of it's not, I think that we all try to do things the right way, but I think that looking at your family and where the money in your family came from, maybe experiences. A lot of us, my generation, the generation that actually lived through the Depression, they're starting to leave. So there's not a lot of one-on-one contact with those people. And so what I'm reading a lot about is that, like, my generation and especially my kids' generation has never wanted for anything.
No, they haven't.
Don't want. They don't need a thing. They have everything that they need. And I think that, sometimes because we're losing some of those generations, trying to reach back before that generation goes completely away to learn some of the things that they did during those times, I think is still a positive thing, even though, we're not wanting for anything at the moment.
Yeah, I think the family influence of how the families, good or bad, has handled money, the tool, how to utilize the money, the way that they've handled it is right, wrong, or indifferent. The habits are passed down to the next generation or the kids.
Right.
So somebody has to step out and get some training if it's a negative, and if it's a positive,
you need to continue it.
You need to continue it, and how do you pass that on to the next generation? So family does have a very large influence as to how you handle money. And
I think our generation and our kids' generations needs to sit down with those older generations and talk to them about, because a lot of that generation had a lot of money. Right. They went through really tough times, but they still have a lot of money, and they have a lot of advice that they can give. They have a lot of wisdom.
One of the things I think that pops out is live within your means, not live on everything you make.
Exactly. And that generation definitely did.
They did. But our generation and our kids' generation have a real difficult time with that, because they always think, well, there's plenty more coming next month, so what do I have to worry about it? And I think that older generation was in that environment where they're saying, we don't know that next month that there's going to, what if I do lose my job? Am I in a position where I can continue to manage my lifestyle? So that is key. Family is a big thing. And
Family
that also,
is a big thing.
It goes into how you think about planning, how you think about wealth, how you think about money, how you think about giving.
Right.
And that's very important.
Well, and I think it goes to your peers too. Who are you hanging out with?
Trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Absolutely.
Or are you the Joneses you're trying to make people keep up with?
That's true too. You could be that. But in the culture at large has an influence over it too. Look at the commercials that are on TV now.
Right.
It's it's the fattening foods. It's every time you turn around, there's a commercial about going out to dinner. Every time you turn around, there's a new Nike shoe coming out, or there's a new phone. All these, all these smartphones, they're all smart until the new phone comes out. And now I'm holding the dumb phone because the new smartphone's out.
Yeah, the young people in my house are already talking about the next generation of the phone that's not even out yet. And, that goes back to, are we willing to step out of our design and our intent and our plan of living within our means in order to keep up with the Joneses. Just because I don't have the latest and greatest, phone version, and I think our society is also looking at that and saying, are you keeping up with the Joneses? Is it cool? You know what? It's cool to live within your means. It's cool to be a good steward and not have to worry about those peers that you're keeping up with. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's an important part. And all this goes into planning. Right. And, I know we're up against a break, and we got, I do want to talk about a little more about peers and mentoring, but this is something that if you've had a struggle with either family or peers or things like that, you're just looking for some good sound information, advice. This is part of the planning process, planning with clarity that we put out and work with our clients and build that relationship. So it's a great opportunity for... we like to talk to people about different things that come with them. What was your family legacy, and what was your family's attitude about money, and, what do you like or not like about that, and how do you want to continue that? Because if you want to continue the good parts of that, we'd love to help you do that. So, and how do you take that to the next generation, to your children and grandchildren, and continue to pass on the good values that you have? So I know we're up against the break. How do they get a hold of us? I know we've got some workshops coming up here in the future. Workshops will be posted, as well as the quarterly updates posted at our website, www.journeyswithjoni.com. You can come see us at 6230 University Parkway, Suite 305, and you can give us a call at 941-361-1484. Journeys with Joni. We'll be right back.
Do you know what you own and why you own it? Join us for our next workshop to learn about investing with clarity by calling 941-361-1484 to reserve your seat today. Joni and Mark look forward to discussing the philosophy, strategy, flexibility, and transparency, the 4 pillars of investing, with NEPSIS Advisor Services. Call today, 941-361-1484. That's 941-361-1484.
Welcome back to Journeys with Joni. Just before the break, Mark and I were having a discussion about the people that influence our attitudes about money. We were talking about the purposes of money and the 5 ways we use money. We sort of left off talking about, we talked about the families and the generations that lived through the Depression, and we're talking now about, we were just talking about peers and society at large that has a dominant influence over our attitudes about money. Think about the way that this just popped into my mind. Think about the way the car companies market the cars. It's all around the payment. Nobody ever looks at the cost of the car, the price of the car. It's always around, they're marketing the pay. You look at it at the end of every commercial, $199, $699, whatever 99 is, a month to drive this car. And it's that instant gratification. Nobody ever thinks anymore about saving the money and paying cash for the car. But I think more important than just looking at the payment, it's looking at what does it cost you over the lifetime of owning the car. Mm-hmm. What's it cost you to pay for that car? 2-3 times what it's worth, maybe 1.5 times based on credit. But the point is, it's back to that peers. It's the instant society. It's I want to make sure that I've got the image, and at what cost are you willing to keep up that image? Well, and it's like those commercials about going out to eat, and people that are, can't really afford to do those kind of things, that go out to eat anyway and charge it on their Visa card or their MasterCard. No offense to those 2 credit cards, but, and then by the time they pay it off, the meal was 3 months ago. Yeah, not that we're talking about investing, but those are 2 companies we own in the investment portfolio, Visa and MasterCard. And the biggest reason they make so much money is because of what you just said. People use their cards. They use their cards all the time. Yeah, but where does that spending and that attitude you have about spending fit in your plan? And what, we're all on a journey. We all know where we want to end up at the end of our lives. Even if you don't know exactly, you sort of have an idea. I mean, I want to leave this earth, having left something that somebody knows that I left it. I want my kids to have done some good things. We all have some ideas on where we want the journey to end. But between now and then, if we're, using that credit card all the time to go do stuff that doesn't meet that objective at the end, are we are we not going to meet that objective? And wouldn't it be awful if, got to a certain point in your life and you figured out that, all those meals that you had that really didn't mean anything because you just did the drive-through. I mean, how many drive-through restaurants do we have between our office and home that you can just drive through and buy something? If you can't afford to do it or it doesn't fit the plan, why should we be doing it? Because you know what? I have a whole bunch of food at home.
Right. And, the interest or the carrying cost or however you would like to personally define it, how much good could that money be doing in someone else's, discretion, i.e. a ministry, a charity,
or even
kids,
if it was in your IRA.
And for yourself being invested.
How many times do you hear people say, I can't afford to put money in my IRA? Well, you know what? Give up Starbucks once a week. And you can put that money in your IRA, and then 20 years from now, you'll actually have a nest egg that you can go buy Starbucks when you're retired.
I agree. The last one is the mentor,
right?
And the question is, does the mentor that you have, does the mentor that is coaching, counseling, working with you, are they giving you great advice, and are you achieving the goals that you're trying to achieve? And is that mentor really helping you? A lot of people have great mentors.
Absolutely.
And I've been privileged to talk to a lot of people over, especially just in the last couple months, where they've got great people in their life that are influencing them in a positive way, not necessarily to keep up with the Joneses, but to be a steady plotter, to be a good steward of the things that they need. But a mentor is somebody you need in your life that can really help you in a lot of ways, not just financial, but and there are other ways that
right.
they're
Well,
available
and it's always nice to have a sounding board. I mean, before you go making that big purchase or before you go doing something, I have mentors in my life too. And, we all talk about those big things that you're going to do that really could make a change in, your long-term plan. So, buying that car, do I really need to do it? Is today the day I really need to do it? Or can I wait 6 more months to do it? And what difference will that make in my long-term plans? Mm-hmm. So sitting down and actually taking an inventory of what you have, talking about your legacies and the influences that you've had and the different ways that you can use your money, back to the 5 ways: lifestyle, taxes, debt, investments, and giving. Are you doing everything you can in each one of those areas to meet that journey's end that you have, years from now? Exactly.
And a question comes to mind, not that I'm asking you the question, but just in general to the listeners. What's the difference between a goal and a wish? A goal is a wish that you've written down, mm-hmm. and nothing becomes real until you write it down and have purpose behind it. And we're going to talk about this a lot next week, but, planning with clarity, one of our documents that we use with our clients is, what is your household's stewardship philosophy? This is a reference document that crystallizes your family's beliefs about accumulation, utilization, and transition of wealth. Whether you have a lot or whether you have a little, you're still a steward of what you've been entrusted with. And until you write it down, until you put things on paper, and this is one of those procrastination things. Well, if I ignore it and I ignore it and I ignore it, the next thing you know,
it goes away.
You've waited too late. It's like the young person in high school. You say, trust me, your freshman year, you need to work on your GPA. And then they get to the senior year and go, oops.
Should have listened to you, Dad.
I should have worked just a little bit harder. So
that's right.
This has been a great topic today, all coming back to the scripture and where things are founded. So family, peers, mentors, and then scripture, talking about the influences about how we spend and utilize our money or being a good steward. And then the next week, we're going to talk about more in detail our process and planning with clarity and some of the things that we do. So
absolutely.
It'll be a lot of fun, I think.
I think so too. And I think the important thing is that we don't live with regrets. Nope. The kid that didn't study and work hard in his freshman year regrets it in his senior year. I mean, I just had a conversation on the way to the studio today with my son about, if this is your goal for next year, then you're going to have to sacrifice things during the summer. You're not going to the beach. You're not doing some of those fun things because you got to do these other things. So, if you're going to be successful, sometimes you have to give up some of the little things in the short term for the success in the long term. And I think that we all need to focus on that. And it's important even in your financials. So if you have a plan, that doesn't mean you don't, squirrel from it. You don't have some things come up from it, but at least you have an idea on how it's going to be influenced.
Absolutely. You have a guide. It's worth writing down. It's worth putting the effort into because you're investing in yourself.
And you are very important. So we hope that you learned something interesting today. Do not hesitate to give us a call at 941-361-1484 or visit us at journeyswithjoni.com. For more information, workshops, send us an email, read our quarterly newsletter. Journeys with Joni will be back next week. But until then, thanks for listening.
This program is for informational and educational purposes only. This program is not a solicitation or recommendation for any investment or security. Investments or securities mentioned in this show may or may not be owned by NEPSIS Advisor Services. NEPSIS Advisor Services is an SEC-registered investment advisor.